Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to have a difficult conversation around Intel and why yesterday I finally decided to capitulate and sell out of the position. This was not something that I did on a whim. It came out that over the weekend that Pat Gelsinger had resigned. That news came out Monday. I thought things over for a while, and then Tuesday made my final determination. I'll get into a little bit of why that was something that more or less triggered the decision and what my rationale was behind it. So, to sum up some of the points for the uninitiated, their revenue has taken a hit. Some parts of their business are cyclical, and there have been some down cycles to contend with, as well as just the fact that they're not as competitive as, say, like an NVIDIA as far as their designs being adopted for AI use, etc. Though there's some encouraging things on the horizon, like some of their partnerships, for example, with Amazon. But to say the least, a lot of that has not yet borne fruit for the beleaguered chip maker. And let's also add in that a major pillar of their overall business plan, or at least Pat Gelsinger's business plan, was to build them up to be one of the top foundries, basically second only to Taiwan Semi. And they unfortunately have to spend billions of dollars in capex, seen here every quarter, in order to actually be able to do that. Now, there's some CHIPS Act money that might be benefiting them, but this capex comes at a time where revenues are compressed, which sort of creates a really tough situation in terms of profitability, free cash flow, etc. It doesn't look good right now. And at this point in time, it looks like there was possibly a contentious board meeting based on what I read. And the board basically told Pat Gelsinger, either resign or we'll just throw you out. And here is why I don't like the fact that this happened. So patience is a big part of it, right? When I got into Intel starting in 2022, to me, it seemed like it would take something like 4 or 5 years total for things to really start to bear fruit. Foundries take time to ramp up and build and to figure out. There's a lot of technical stuff that goes into that. Also, the 5 nodes in 4 years thing was a big part of it. And hey, like, it was 2022 then, it's 2024 now. Like, we have not even gotten to the end point time-wise of what Gelsinger's plan was supposed to take. Now, I get it that it hasn't been perfect, right? With all these moving parts, I think it's likely that you're going to have bumps in the road for sure. And it worries me that maybe this is like a short-sighted impatience thing on the part of the board rather than Pat Gelsinger just doing a bad job. Now, it could be that, maybe under the surface that it's worse as far as, how Gelsinger has been doing on a lot of their goals than what they've let on publicly over the last, handful of earnings calls, in which case, well, I wouldn't want to be here for it if it's actually a lot worse than what it seems, because on the surface, it doesn't seem that great to begin with. Or it's an impatience thing, which I speculate this could be the case because we have a situation like with Starbucks where they got rid of their CEO, but they had a new guy ready to go to plug right in there. The fact that Gelsinger's out and they don't already have somebody and they're doing we're going to explore it for a few weeks and find somebody, that tells me that this was pretty sudden, not very well thought out, potentially, and seems very ham-fisted, which I don't necessarily like. Because if the if this was a problem where you really thought it through and said, okay, I think this isn't going well long term, maybe Pat's not our guy, figure out the replacement first, like start soft shopping that around, and then do the clean break and plug that replacement in right away if the problem is actually with the either Pat's plan or just his execution of the plan. But if it's a case where it's like the board just snap deciding this due to impatience or being mad that the share price is down or whatever, well, I don't want to be here for the pain that follows if they ousted somebody without a good reason and without a good replacement. On the flip side, if they ousted him because things are worse than what have been, communicated to shareholders, it's going to backslide. So basically, this is a signal to me that the stock could be in for a short-term beating on its already beaten down share price. But it also means, on the flip side, if there is an opportunity, like let's say they find a new CEO, I like their choice, and for example, I hear what their vision is for either executing better on the plan that's already in place, or they adjust the plan that is already in place and somehow improve it, make it better. I think I'll have an opportunity to get back in at a cost basis that was lower than my previous cost basis. And hey, we're close to the end of the year. Might as well, if I'm already red here and I think it's just going to get worse, might as well just take the hit now and then re-examine it in a few weeks when they have some more clarity on who's going to be actually steering the ship going forward and what that plan will be. I see no reason to take an even bigger beating to not know what direction they're going. That seems illogical to me. So that is why I decided to just sell out for now and just keep an eye on it over the next few weeks and see what transpires. So since I've previously been bullish on Intel, I felt like it was necessary for me to make a video after selling. Now, also, I want you to see the reason I've had the price targets pulled up during this conversation is because a lot of the analysts still seem to think that it's worth more than what it's trading for today, with some very, very optimistic. And honestly, I always thought, whenever it is that Gelsinger's plan, the 5 and 4 and the foundry and stuff started to take off, I really thought it could be a $65, $70 plus stock at that point, and potentially more if it's continuing to grow. However, right now, this has created a very stinky cloud of uncertainty, and I think signals some potential landmines, at least in the short run here. And at the end of the day, I think I have opportunities to do better with that cash for now in the event that I don't like what comes in the near term as far as the new CEO and that new CEO's plan going forward. As always, let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you also out of Intel, or are you willing to just trust the board to find a good replacement for Pat and steer the ship the right way going forward? Me, I'm a little bit more skeptical than that. Also, feel free to join my Discord, link in the description. And if you want to help the channel, I want to encourage you now to check out my sponsor, which is Moomoo, link in the description. If you join, you will get up to 15 free stocks when you make a deposit, as well as 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. Just use my link in the description below. It helps me and it helps you, and I think that's a win-win. Also, catch me every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Cashflow Kings Live on Twitter, or X as they call it, at Mr. Macho Mog. Link in the description to all of that. Take it easy, everybody.